Hey everyone, welcome to Convo with Nikki. So what is Convo with Nikki? Convo with Nikki is a place where I am allowed the opportunity to be transparent. I share my life. I share my experiences. I also, whatever I want to think about and talk about, this is where I do it. And so ultimately last year, November the 11th, 01 of 2020, I also took that hashtag Convo with Nikki that I was using for 4 years and created a business. So yep, I took a hashtag and made it a business and make $2 or $3 just for me. And so it's a big deal to me. Convo with Nikki is something I do not take lightly. I do not take this opportunity to have a platform to open when I speak that people listen. So the business Convo with Nikki is actually a motivational business where I ultimately do motivational speaking. I do hosting of events, and I also do business and life coaching. I'm also available to do one-on-one coaching with teens in a space where to help them get to maybe like mentoring, depending on what the focus is. So I have taken the opportunity last year, or when Convo with Nikki started, it was something that I did constantly. I was on here with topics. I let people tell me what they wanted to talk about, and I would go from that space. So I'm going to actually do that tonight. And so it was something that I found, and that we've probably all heard about already, which is the Kirk Franklin situation. And so I'm going to tie that into parenting, because I think sometimes people forget that parenting did not come with a book. And also I want to talk about when we look at people who are in a realm of worship leaders, pastors, leaders in their church, and then there's this expectation of inhumane things, or this expectation, and then we ended up having to, or we hold them to a space of never to have fault. And so it literally, it bothered me. So I've been hearing about it on and on for a few days. I think maybe 2 days. And I did not know what they were talking about. So this morning I actually played the playback of the conversation. So what had happened, just a little backstory, is that Kirk Franklin's son, and the strange son of that, the other key part is that the son is 33 years old. So 33-year-old son recorded a conversation of him and his father arguing, and then posted the conversation in a space to discredit who the son was. I mean, who his father was across the board, or who he is known to us to be nationally. And so I think it really bothered me, because how I handle my kids is how I handle my kids. So I do not have the privilege of having a 33-year-old child. However, I do have a 19-year-old, I have a 15-year-old, I have a 14-year-old, and I have a 10-year-old. And when you come out of pocket and you disrespect me, I'm coming back the same way. And so the bigger part is that Kirk Franklin cursed. And that was the thing that was supposed to be this big deal, is that he cursed at his son, who, I mind you, if you keep listening to the call, the son was also cursing as well. But because he is a gospel artist, the face of gospel music, he knows scripture, he has probably preached many sermons, right, to people. He is a mentor to some. He is inspirational in a way. And for whatever reason, the son felt that the cursing would get him to be discredited in his position of the work that he has done and he put in. He was a bitch ass nigga. That's what his dad called him, right? Kirk Franklin called his son a bitch ass nigga. And so that was one of the big words. He said some other things, and he put his foot in his ass. A lot of the things that we say to our kids on a daily was recorded, right? And posted for a space of judgment, and called his character to order. I'm not ready to give you a bunch of stuff about God, know your heart, and all of these things. And then Kirk Franklin offered this public apology. FYI, he did not apologize to his son. He apologized to us the people who paid for his music, the people who listened to him. And then he said that he said some things in a heated argument, and forgive him. Who are we to judge him? Like, what I think what has happened, and a big part of the reason that some of us decide not to go to church, because somewhere in your mental, people who hold some type of authority should not be that you hold them to be perfect. And that's never what they were called to be. They were called to, of course, lead and carry on. But I want somebody transparent. And I get that and I think it's emotional for me because I'm a leader, right? And I remember getting phone calls. People have called my pastors about the clothes that I wear. People have called my pastors about things that I say on here, and in a way to question who they chose to be a part of leadership. And it's just little old me, right? So I can only imagine how it felt for this man who probably got 1 million trillion followers, who's also made $1 billion, right, in a space that you call me to the carpet, or whoever my publicist is decided that I needed to be pulled to the carpet because I was parenting and y'all didn't like it. It bothers me. Again, like I said, his apology was not towards the son, which I appreciate. The apology was towards, I'm going to say me. He apologized to me for being a parent and parenting the way that he wanted to parent, and that he's parented this kid, because that's what he acted like. But he's 33 years old, and he thought that he owed me something in that space. Because for whatever reason, we've put people of leadership in ministry only, though. We've put people in that are in leadership in a space of perfection, and that they should never, ever fail. They human. They were called, but they were humans who were called into leadership. They were humans who got a call to preach and give word and teach. Ultimately, they're ministers who decided that God said, I know that you will learn my word. I know that you will do your best, right? And if you fail, I understand I'm offering a grace and mercy to keep you through. The reality is, though, he offered the grace and mercy to us too. So why are we the ones who look back at people in parenting their children in a weird space? So the other sidebar is that the daughter, which is the sister to the young man who recorded his father, right? The sister said, now look at you. You've been offered all the opportunity, but you don't post that, right? Because what tends to happen on social media, and what tends to happen probably in most things in life, is we take this little piece of a story, and we make that become that person and who they are. That defines who they are, that defines their life, that defines we don't never want to know nothing else. None of the positive, none of the other things that he's done for his other kids. None of those things have ever been broadcasted. I've never heard about his other kids. I never heard about him parenting any other time. But the day that he cussed his son out for being disrespectful, it's all over everywhere. He's called to the carpet about ministry. Should we continue to listen to his music? What? His music was created as a crossover barrier for those of the secular world who would not listen to anybody else. Who wouldn't listen to, James Cleveland or Mahalia Jackson. They don't want to hear that when they go to church. How you gonna get those, the unsaved, the worldly, the carnal people, how you gonna get them into another space if your music ain't something I want to hear? As wonderful as your word may be, if your praise and worship is not good, ain't nobody coming. We gotta listen to that. Some of his music created this crossover moment for the younger people, to include myself, because I still consider myself to be young. Y'all can say what you want to say. right? But it made a way for me to be comfortable, enjoy dance, right? I'm saved. You don't want me in the club. Now I'm saved. You don't want me going out. Now I'm saved. I can't wear see-through shirts. Now I'm saved. I should look a certain type of way. My dresses need to come to my ankles. You got all of these rules, and y'all wonder why people don't want to be a part of what you say your God wants. So he cursed. Y'all have done worse and not apologized at all. Not gave two shits about none of it. My cursing don't take away my love for God. Now, anybody that want to type all your scriptures in the bottom about cursing and all your scriptures about anything else I do, have at it. I'm not telling you that I am perfect in my walk. I am telling you that the biggest thing that God called us to do was to love. Period. I done raised you 33 years. I done made sure you was privileged. You done had all of the privileges and anything you done wanted out of this life. I done made sure you had it. And it wasn't enough. Now you 33 years old, sitting up here, ain't got nothing to show for it. And you mad. So you sit your mad ass on over there, but don't come for me and don't come for what I've done for you. Just because he cussed him out, I wanted to call my kids and cuss them out. If you thought you was going to be disrespectful today, don't do it. Again, my thing is I'm not telling y'all to go out here and go cuss your kids out. I'm not telling y'all to go out here and beat your kids. I'm not telling y'all to do any of that. What I am saying is it's a need for, and what we have to be able to do is realize that people in ministry are human. Nope, I'm not getting ready to tell you I'm about to justify people in ministry who cheat on their wives. I'm not justifying any of those things. You know, those who sell drugs, get high. I am saying, though, if they offer a word and you can understand it and it's simple, and those are your pastors. And I need you to remember that they too can fail. Why aren't they offered the same grace that you expect God to give you when you fuck up? Yes, I'm cursing not because I want to be on here cursing all the time, but I need you to understand that even as I am today, I am enough, right? So do I curse? I do. Do I reverence my ministry enough to not curse in church? I do. But do my pastors know that my mouth can be a certain type of way? Does that change what I'm called to do? Now, if you make a choice, like when you speak, right, there are some that are called to hear just from you, right? I understand that the people I'm called to are the unchurched. Now, I don't need to go to them and curse them out for them to understand that there's a God that exists in me. But if they curse, I got to be comfortable enough to be around them for them to see the God that's in me. But if I'm going to spend my time trying to filter out all these big ass words that they not going to know, then I'm going to miss opportunity to serve and show them. So I'm not saying this to find him justified. I'm saying this that if we would spend a little more time not giving two shits about what people say all the time or their mess ups or where they messed up at and see what they've shown us to grow us to a place, then we would be a little further in walks with Christ. Your churches probably would be a little more packed if you understood to meet people where they are. Again, I get that some of it was his publicist making him apologize. I don't know if he just chose to want to apologize or not. I don't know that part. But I also know that when I parent, you can't tell me how to parent. Especially a 33-year-old man. He won't parent in a 12-year-old. He didn't cuss his 4-year-old out. He went toe-to-toe, stepped toe-to-toe to a 33-year-old man. At some point, you better respect me. Now, what you do after that, baby, is on your own. You can record it. Because at this point, I can beat you. What I'm talking about, hands up, and I don't care who watch. Because you mine. I brought you in, and somebody else saying it with me, and I can take you out. And I think that he should have been allowed that space to parent. Granted, he didn't leak it. He just responded to the leak. I just am a little frustrated that he even had to. That he even had to have a moment or a space of, I apologize. I apologize that me and my son had a frustrating moment and he recorded it. I said some things that were not appropriate. This is his words, not mine. What? It's probably not your best verbiage, but in that season, it was cursing is sometimes appropriate. Sometimes the only way to reach a nigga is to be a nigga sometimes. You keep on treating people like they greater than and they're up here and thou thus. You gonna miss an opportunity to pull them together. And no, I'm not talking about black men. So if you want to go in about me using nigga, do what you want to do, because that's not what I'm saying. But if you want to meet ignorance where ignorance is, because sometimes that's all they're going to ever understand, then get with them. And then after you get with them, pray for them. It's worth it. Because what I had to meet you at to get you to a space don't change how God works in me. Y'all can say, and I'm probably going to get 1,000 million messages and inboxes because y'all would not believe what I get back after I get on here. Right? However, our reality is that there are some people that's just not there. So don't find yourself in a space or in a place where you can't be because you had to make somebody else comfortable. When it comes to my parenting, yep, there are parenting classes I even offer parenting classes. Like there is a space, there is a way to handle things at ages. You know, I'm not going to feed my baby, right, fried eggs, because it's not a stage for that, right? You get that baby some breast milk or some formula. My toddler, I'm not going to feed them a whole steak with the fat on it and the juices, because they don't even have teeth yet. There's a stage for that. There's stages as they grow in life. But when you're 33 and you recorded a conversation because you use that, I'm your parent, you decided that was a way for you to get to me, then you was just what I called you. Then you actually proved me right. You made my words be truth. However, once we start getting to a space where we stop pointing fingers at people in ministry that are leaders and realize that they are human and were called, you just mad you weren't called and you got all that mess. That's what happened. That's why some of us who should be further in leadership fall back. Because somewhere in our mental, we have let what you thought about us supersede all of the things that we know we should be doing. And I think in that moment, it really made me say, let me get on here and remind those of us, if you not where you thought you were supposed to be, if you still dealing with the addictions that you still got, if you still dealing with the niggas that ain't nothing or the broads that ain't shit, if you in that space, but you know there's a calling and you know there's a word, talk. Because somebody is still waiting to hear what you have to say, because you're going to release some greatness for somebody else. And in the midst of that, because God is amazing, in the midst of that, he going to release you from the things that you weren't supposed to be dealing with anyway. But you can't help those that you called to if you didn't endure that process. A lot of the things you sitting in, a lot of the brokenness that you dealing with, it's ultimately for you to help somebody else, but you ain't gonna never be able to help them because you're scared to open your mouth because you're still sitting in the places that are uncomfortable. It's time to move. As a matter of fact, it may not even be time to move. It's time to talk. It's time to share. It's time to open up your mouth and just start talking, and he'll do the rest. Even in the midst of where you're sitting, even in not being perfect. He's a perfect God. You were never supposed to have to be perfect. You were never supposed to have it all together. He knew the choices you was going to make before you made them. You think he don't see you laying in the bed with that person's husband or wife? You think he not with you when you getting high? You think he not right there watching you and still pushing you? He was supposed to be the perfect thing. He just gave it to me in an imperfect situation. You just missing it because society has said that nobody will listen to you until you perfect. Well, that's a lie. That's a lie. Nope, my ministry ain't for me to be in no church, standing in no pulpit. This right here, what I'm doing right now, for the people that are on here that decide to invite somebody else on here because you just invited them to church. Right? Because church is what dwells within me. Now, don't get it twisted because I love my church and I show up every Sunday. 3C Ministries, 2213 National Street. I do know where I go to church at. Show up with me, praise and worship with me. Y'all can hear a great word because my pastor is amazing. But I also know that I too have a calling. And the people that I'm called to speak to probably not going to show up there. Not because they don't want to, not because that ain't they, but almost because they don't even know if they're enough to get there. But if I can remind you here at this church, right? Because I can't give you all of the testimonies of the Bible. I don't know all of them. I know somebody had a baby. They was a virgin. It was somewhere, not enough room for them somewhere. And then I know it was somebody in a well, a couple of people in a lion's den. It was 3 brothers. They was locked up. I don't know all the details, but I can give you the book of Nicole. I can tell you where Nikki came from. I can tell you where she been. I can tell you where she want to go and where she keep messing up going. And I can share it because it's my experience and it's my truth. And I don't have to, and I don't owe you nothing. Nope. I ain't telling you can't send me a cash app because this right here is for the taking. Right? But I also don't care about that. What I understand is that I endured crazy processes, endured crazy places in life. For me to share them with somebody else, for them to get what they need, and I'm not perfect, so you can crop, record, screenshot it, and send it to somebody else that I cursed 30 times, and I'm still going to be able to welcoming people at my ministry because I understand that God still sees me to be enough. Stop waiting. If you would spend more time waiting and showing off the things that I've done great versus jumping and harping on the things that I've done wrong, imagine how much of my life you would get to see. Because I too fail. I too am still struggling to believe that I was called to lead. I deal with it daily. I am proud of myself. I celebrate myself often because I have to switch my mind to understand that I'm enough. Because for years, I didn't see myself that way. Affirmations is a real thing to say to yourself mentally. I ain't saying saying them out loud is amazing, but sometimes you're in a space where you can't say them out loud. Sit with them, say them to yourself to remind you that yes, you were called, and yes, in this season you're enough. I dare you to invite somebody to church with you. I ain't talking about it. I'm talking about right here, what we're doing now. It might not come with scriptures, but it'll be scriptures of me. That even in hard places, he sees me to be enough. Which means that that same that rested on my shoulders rests on yours. That same grace when you thought you messed up and you weren't enough, or you thought you was just this close to being what he called you to be and you slipped, you still enough. Today. Right now, not tomorrow, not you gotta go and wash and turn 3 times and smelling some money and me send you some bottles of water and then you washing it and then you take another rag and sprinkle all the olive oil that you got on you. And I'm not discrediting any of those things. I'm saying to you that at some point you gotta realize that if you believe it, the shift happens for you. If you start to believe it here, then it's going to force other people to have to respect it everywhere. See, one of the things, even in this situation with Kirk, is he owed him no apology, and he knew that. He apologized to us, and we didn't deserve it. But in leadership, I shouldn't have to. In a space like this, I shouldn't have to owe you, give you, or do none of that because there's a God that sustains me in all of these things. And it won't make me change. Yes, some of the things gonna die, right? This walk is like a flower, right? So there were some things that are rooted in us from birth. There's some things that are in the ground, in the soil, right? It was either good or bad. All of ours was different. All of us gonna bud different. right? And so there's some stems that, if I remember this, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going here because that's where I'm going, right? So in this soil, there's some good soil. You was this little bud that was planted in your mama, I'm just guessing, in a tube, whatever happened. In this ground, there was some, in this soil, right? In this womb, there were some things that happened, some nutrients that you got. Somebody watered it, prayed for it, talked about it, and watered it until it sprouted out. In the sprout, there's a stem. In that stem, that's where all of the water and all of the nutrients still go, right? And then in seasons, you bud this flower. And what we forget is that at some stage of this, some of those them petals, fall off because there's some dead things connected to you that have to fall off for you to continue to grow great. Just because the dead things fell, and it may look like the plant is not sustainable, right? But if there are some things that you keep watering and you keep praying and you keep getting word and you keep getting good word in your ears and you connect yourself to good things, it continues to grow even through the dead space. And then when the season for flourishment comes back, there's a space that happens and you too grow. And you too are sustained, and you are at your most beautiful place, right? You're growing, you're budding. It's new season. And then again, you go through another season. But if you put things on top of you, you ever put something heavy on a flower? Like all your friends' problems, all your friends' stuff. You sitting that on top of there. Everybody else debt, you sitting it on top of there. Your petals ain't gonna shine because you carrying around everybody else's stuff. In your seasons of flourishment, understand that some people just gotta go. Some things just gotta go. And you too will be sustained in that season. So wherever you are right now, whatever situation you in right now, whatever thing you enduring right now, and if you hear God's giving you a word, if you got something on your heart, if your experience is worth sharing, I dare you to share it. It don't have to be like I share mine. And that's one of the things I need people to remember, that when you give it, it ain't going to be like me. Right? Because those that's supposed to hear from me, going to hear from me. But I see that some people on here that also are speakers and do this same thing. You may hear different from them. Or there's some people on here that when they speak, you're not going to listen. Then that means that when you hear my voice, then those are the shepherds of me. I'm their shepherd. They are my sheep. They know my voice. Those that I'm called to speak to. Just as the same, when I go to certain churches, when I hear them, I don't understand what they talking about. But if I go where my shepherd is, that I know what he's saying is simple. It works for me. Y'all going to these churches and some of these people you listen to, they not your pastor. You just there for the connections in the church. You sitting somewhere and not getting fed because they got 3 million members. I double dog dare you to shift if you're not getting fed, if that word don't stick with you all week. If in the midst of certain things you can't hear them, then you may be in the wrong place. I dare you to shift just to hear different. But we are all supposed to be ministers, which means that we all have something to offer. So you may not be at your best now. This may not be the best you thought you could offer. But I dare you, if you offer you, what will come from that? If you offer yourself as you are, it becomes relatable to people who won't go to you when you're at your perfect place. I'm sorry to tell you, there is no perfect place because we all have room to grow. If you're not trying to grow every season, then it's a waste of time. You've wasted life. Because you should be trying to grow somewhere different. Because it's required. It's necessary. Nobody else may tell you that. Nobody else today may tell you that you are enough just like that. I'm talking about, just like that. Without the makeup, your roots might not be the way you want them to be. Your clothes might not be, your bank account, the stimulus. If you think the stimulus is going to make you better, I promise you it won't. Just like this, right where you are, if you shared your life one time with somebody and they ask, how did you endure? And your response is, God kept me. You've done your when you get to the gates, he will tell you, well done, even in the midst of this. Well done will be it. Share with one person. Even if you don't want to share you, share what you hear. Share this live. Share your church's live. Because it's something that you get. The reason that you continue to go, the reason that you sat and listened to me, there's something that you get that's fed you. Share it. Like we share gossip, share what continues to build you. So, to all my leaders who may be on here, if you know a leader in ministry, I dare you to encourage them. Being a leader is not easy. Being judged for doing things the way that you've seen them done, or doing things that you believe are right, or that's the way you handle your family, or that's the way that works in your situation, the judgment is not easy. Because your clothes are a certain way, you like a shirt that a bra might show. Not that you wore it to church, you wore it out, but it's on your Instagram. The judgment is not easy. You got a partner, somebody you trust, a leader in ministry, and you find out that they date somebody of the same sex. Now that word no longer valid. Being in ministry is not easy. Because you drink a glass of wine, nowhere in the Bible it says I can't drink, FYI. But you see me out, and I have the glass in my hand. One glass. You snap a picture and it go to the pastor. Being in leadership is not easy. I'm giving y'all the stuff that I've endured. Not nobody else's testimony. I'm telling you, even when I wasn't in leadership, these are the things that I've endured. Which means that being in a space to still talk about how good he is becomes really hard, because you got to worry about what the next person has thought about you. Are you enough? Again, I remind you, I never said I had it all the way together, but I'm challenging anybody to endure this remembrance and reminding of oneself that I am enough. Reminding myself daily that in this, one of the things is reminding myself that the four-stated statement was already true. That's what I have to do daily, to believe that I am what he said I am, that I heard and that I feel when I do it. I don't have a script, no paper, no nothing, but I know this right here is what I'm supposed to do, probably way more than I do it. However, if you continue to see me here and then you see me out with my partner, or you see me with a glass of wine, what will that say? Will I no longer get an amen? Will I no longer get the likes? Will I no longer get that? Because in your mind, you see me to not be enough because I don't meet what you thought ministry should look like. October 25th, 2010. I think I'm right. No, I'm lying. 2015. I literally said, like, I did a live, and I sat on the live, and as I was talking through the live, I out loud said yes to God. Like, I said it out loud, right? And then life happened, and I just kind of stopped. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't understand it. I did not catch it. I was talking though, like this, because this is where he uses me, right? I know that, and that's what's weird, because if you ask me like all of the things I talked about today, I'm probably not going to probably remember them all, right? And so I talked like this in a space, and I remember saying yes out loud, and then I was like, what did I just do? And so probably in the past 2 years, I've accepted that this is what I do. And when I do it through him, I do it well. When I do it at the expense or the pleasure of somebody else, I do not. And so I say to you to trust you enough that in this space, I am not at my best, right? Not in life, probably. I definitely have some growing in places that I want to be greater, right? And I get that space. But I can't stop doing what he's called me to do because he too will take it away. I can't bury my talents just to say I have it, right? What I should be doing is multiplying them because that's what he gave them to me for. He gave them your life, your gifting should make room for you. It should be the thing that easily comes to you. But it's also the thing that flows your rivers of milk and honey because it's the great things of who you are. And so this is that space for me. When I'm allowed an opportunity to share. So, all of those who have leaders, I dare you today to send them an encouraging message. Remind them that even in where they are, because they battle, because the devil doesn't test you with anything new. So if your pastors, and my pastor says it all the time, like his thing, him and his wife were married. They've been married for 30 some years. And so one of the things of his weakness was that he cheated on his wife. And he reminds us daily that the devil ain't came no different to tempt him. It's up to him to make a decision to do different. In ministry, there are humans who have to make a choice daily. And if y'all don't make the right decisions every day, why hold them accountable to make theirs the same every day? So, I thank you guys for watching. If you're a parent and you cursed your kid out because they were disrespectful, I would have did the same. If you find yourself to not be enough and you've compared yourself to all the other lanes on the highway and where you should be, then you miss the blind spot and you might get hit. Because that's not your lane to be in. If you keep your eyes focused in your own lane, you might be on your way to where you're supposed to be. Don't miss your exit trying to look at somebody else.